Well, the United States has often been called the Saudi Arabia of coal. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Norman, and we will be talking about coal today with my guest, Barry Schneer, who is an attorney and also a consultant for the energy industry. Barry, thank you very much for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So what about that? I mean, they often say the United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal. We have a huge amount of coal. Is coal now becoming a major, new source of energy for electricity generation? Will we be tapping into that?
I think coal's always been a source of energy in this country. It has for the past 100 years been a source of that. There's been a lot of controversy today about clean coal, about carbon emissions, but as it stands right now, the United States, under its current rate of consumption, has over 200 years worth of energy reserves within the form of coal. We have more coal than the Middle East does in oil, based in, energy units that's there. So coal is a significant source of energy for our country.
Okay, but you talked a little bit about it, and I think this was at least the way it's viewed as an environmental problem. Coal as a greenhouse gas emissions. There's a movement against the use of this sort of energy. Do we have to give up environmental safety to have energy? Is that the question that we face?
The answer to that question, I think, is no. You don't have to go ahead and compromise the use of coal as a form to generate electricity and then sacrifice that against the environment. That's not something that we really need to do. And with current technologies that are on the market today that exist, you're beginning to see more and more what we call clean coal technologies. And when I say clean coal technologies, what I'm talking about is a host of technologies that are designed to lower the carbon footprint of coal generating power plants.
So it's not in that it's the coal itself is different. It's the way we process it. It's the way we burn it. It's the technologies we use when we consume the coal. That's when they refer to clean, that's what they're talking about, right?
That's correct. It's being able to reduce those type of emissions that we find toxic. Dioxins, furans, those are these nasty little things that will fly up and go out of the stack of the power plants, be breathed in by local and residential commercial communities, and then cause other types of toxic effects. According to the Energy Information Administration, the United States has invested over $90 billion in clean coal technologies in the past 2 decades. So it goes to show that this country really is making a significant investment along these areas.
Is that like at the top? Are we the leader in terms of investment in clean coal technology?
Right now, I would say over the past 2 decades, nobody spent more money in this area than the United States. And to that event, you can see that we have right now technologies that can take out up to 98% of the sulfur dioxide that's being generated, up to 90% of the nitrogen oxide, and up to 90% of the mercury emissions. And when you start to look at this, you really begin to see that there are great advantages to the reliability of coal, as far as its efficiency, and then also as far as its emission reduction.
Okay, but when we're talking about coal, we're primarily talking about electricity generation, and for that, we also use natural gas, which we also have an abundance of. So why is there, this great interest in coal when we're sitting on huge amounts of natural gas? Don't they compete with one another as an energy source?
They do, and that's true, they do. I believe that when you talk about costs, we're talking about the actual cost to get it from the ground, and then there's a market cost. What I look at mostly is the cost of the actual commodity, not as much what the market does to it. And when you look at this sort of cost, we're talking about heat content, British thermal units, BTUs. And when you break it down like that, the Energy Information Administration has gone out and published, and they've done a very extensive survey that says that the average cost of coal is $1.46 per million BTUs. You compare that now to, let's say, natural gas, where you're looking at, under the same study, $5.75 per million BTUs. It's almost, coal is pretty much 1/3 the price of what it costs under your...
So it's economically, a better choice at this point. Now, how much of it do we consume domestically, and how much of it do we export? Aren't we large exporters? I mean, to China, for example?
Traditionally, no. The United States pretty much uses most of the coal that it goes ahead and it mines here in the United States. You see a lot of coal that's going into China. The Far East is coming out of Australia, Malaysia, areas like this. In 2009, Colombia was for the first time in that history of that continent's history, did they actually export coal over to the east. So you can see there is a large demand in China as well as in India for coal, and they're reaching now across the Atlantic to get it. And that's something that's significant.
Now let's talk about prices. Coal, like many other commodities, has experienced a price increase. Where are coal prices now historically, and where do you think they're going to go?
Well, when we talk about coal prices in the United States, we talk a lot about Central Appalachian coal. It's been hovering around on average about $73 a ton. When you look at these prices and you ask where are they going, we don't have a lot of alternatives that are right now regarding energy in this country. I mean, nuclear was beginning to get a lot of headway, and then I think after
Japan.
Exactly. So, we've started to reconsider those type of safety issues that are associated with nuclear power. Coal has been a staple of this country for over 200 years. It's what's built America, and I believe it'll continue to build America. It's not a matter of saying, let's say no to coal, but let's continue to do what we're doing, which is investing into clean coal technologies and being able to bring to the market more efficient and more ideal technologies to reduce the emissions reductions.
Is there any scope for coal use outside of electricity generation as a fuel, for example, maybe a transportation fuel? Is there some way, not that we're going to be shoveling coal into burners in our cars, but can it be liquefied? Is there a way that it could be used in that fashion?
Well, when we talk about clean coal technologies, we're talking about a whole host of technologies that are out there to provide energy solutions. And certainly there is a lot of coal that's being looked at as being able to take this coal, which is really just a form of hydrocarbon, and being able to put it under heat and then convert it back into a gaseous state. Once that coal can be returned back to its gaseous or elemental state of hydrogen and carbon, there's a lot we can do with it, because now we can take these gases and we can use existing technologies to go ahead and create a wide variety of your kerosene distillates. Right. We can cool that gas and we can make liquid fuels, gasoline, diesel, etc.
Now, as an investor, how would one go about playing this? Obviously, there are companies that mine coal. They could buy the stocks of those companies. I know you like the actual physical coal. That doesn't seem like an easy play for most investors anyway. What would you say about that?
I think that the trading in coal is a sophisticated type of investment, because you have to understand the way in which a mine works, and the business model of mining companies that are on the market are somewhat elusive to really understanding costs that are built in, and then also where you can lose your profits. And this is what I think is one of the most essential areas when you start looking at coal trading, is what areas, the shipping, and some of the distribution, the logistics, is really where you can make or lose your money. There's a lot of companies that are coming out today or nowadays that will allow you to get into the actual physical side and be able to deal directly with the commodities and buy and sell contracts. I think these are a little safer in the sense that that there's an existing mine, it has a proven track history of delivering the commodity, the actual physical. You can check with the port authorities to do your own independent research to find out how its performance has been over time, and then you can also be able to see contracts from buy and sell.
Fantastic. Well, looks like coal has a very bright outlook. I want to thank Barry Schneer for coming on the program. That's it for now, folks. We'll see you here next time. This is Mike Norman. Bye-bye.